Let's stand up and give Mr. Bustamante a big welcome. We want to know what your secret was to lose 70 pounds, Cruz. Now, for the purpose of introducing Cruz, we are going to invite Dr. Rita, who's the Assembly candidate for the 65th. We have the honor to introduce him. Dr. Rita?
Thank you, thank you. Let's hear it for Democrats. It is a privilege, it is an honor to introduce Lieutenant Governor Cruz M. Bustamante. A man committed to democratic values. A man that has integrity and dedication. A man who respects and is honest with each and every one of us. Who represents the common man, not big business. So when you go to the vote, November 7th, remember, I would rather cruise with Cruz than take poison.
Been pumped up? Alright. While you guys are still in a pumped up mood, we're going to have some folks bring these charts over here. We're going to move them up and down the rows so that you guys get a chance to sign up to go out and walk and talk and be able to make phone calls on behalf of getting out the vote. So, some of you, as you were walking in the doors, you kind of missed the table where the signatures were at. So, we're going to just get you another opportunity to sign up if you can, okay? This election, you know, there is a difference. There's a difference between candidates. There's a difference between parties. There's a difference between principles. And all you have to do is look around you. All you have to do is look at the constitutional officers. You see Latinos and women and Asians and African Americans all participating in this process. What do you see on the other side?
All white men.
Now, there ain't nothing wrong with that. But that's not all there is. That's not all there is. And you look at the kinds of things that are taking place and the things that they want to have happen in California. And then you look at the things that Democrats want to have happen. But you know, sometimes we're our own worst enemies. You know, we just want to fix stuff. We want to help the people. We're not very good marketers. We're not great mantra people. We don't stick to the same line. We're not like robots where everybody follows the same line. Sometimes that's to our detriment. But you know, despite the fact this year, over $500 million is being spent on the elections. That's $500 million. Now, let you guess where 70% of that's coming from. $500 million. Why? Why are they spending so much money? Why are the pharmaceutical companies? Why are the oil companies? Why Why are the tobacco companies spending hundreds of millions of dollars? You know why. You know why. This governor's been bought and paid for. He come into office acting like he was John Wayne. Had his gun strapped to his side, talking about blowing up boxes. And then it was just a role. Then last year, he played another role. Played the role of Darth Vader. Taking on teachers, firefighters. You wanted to take away benefits from widows and orphans. And during the debate between Phil and himself a couple of weeks ago, he says the one regret he had was that he didn't get those things through. Is that the kind of governor you want? Is that the kind of governor you want? No! Because I tell you, we have a better man for the job, don't we? And you look up and down that ticket. You look at who's on that constitutional officer list. Strickland? Dr. No. I don't know that there's anything he's ever voted for. This guy, and you got, what's that guy that's running against you? Mr. I've never done anything in my life except live off of daddy's money. What's his name? McPherson. Yeah, that's right, McPherson. I mean, talk about a guy. No disrespect. I mean, he's a nice man. He's a nice man, you know, and he had a death in his family. We're all sorry for that. We empathize and we sympathize because we're human beings. But he is not a good public servant. You cannot have a good public servant. I don't care how nice you are. If you're not willing to stand up, you look at his career. Ask Deborah, she's right next to him all the time. I don't think the man ever stood up. He's always got his finger up in the wind, always trying to figure out what way the wind's blowing. And then after the parade and people are marching down the street, he jumps out in front of it and says he's a leader. That is not a leader. By definition, a leader has to have followers. Right? And if you're going to be a leader, you should have organized them into that parade, not jump in front of that parade. And this guy is not doing the right thing by the elections. And we need a new Secretary of State. We need Deborah Vaughn to be our next Secretary of State. Now, I was just with John Chung just a little while ago. We're talking about a dynamic young man. Huh? Have you heard him speak? Oh, man. You tear the high ball off of a hard ball. He is going to be fantastic. Talk about a guy who stands up. You saw the one that was just recently put into the campaign against him? Into it. Right? Now, I for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why I was so into it. Why were they putting $1 million into the campaign? Well, John took a very simple position. He said people ought to be able to file their taxes on the internet for free. Now that's a revolutionary idea, but it just so happens that Intuit has TurboTax. And if people are filing their taxes for free, and they got 65% of the market, guess what happens to Intuit? They have to get out of it. Stole my line, man. I was working the whole thing up to that point. I was that obvious, huh? But here's a young man who's going to be great as a controller. And you look at the ticket up and down, John Garamendi. Did John Garamendi do a good job as the Insurance Commissioner? And he said he was going to lower auto rates. Did he lower auto rates? He said he was going to lower homeowners rates. Did he do that too? One problem with the Insurance Commissioner is it was written in a way that doesn't give control over all the lines of insurance. Now, today, if you have a problem with your auto insurance, there's only one person to point to. And if you need to point at somebody, it's the same person in auto and homeowners. That's John Gierman. And I think he's done a pretty good job, don't you? And he's done a great job, that's right. But you don't get that with workers' comp or health care. It's all divided up all over the place. There's half a dozen agencies. Everybody's in charge. And you know what happens when everybody's in charge? No one's in charge. That's right. I mean, you have a situation in which the Secretary of State has some of those areas with compliance on different kinds of plans, especially for city and county employees where they're self-insured. You have the Department of Consumer Affairs, and Department of Insurance, and Managed Care. You have all these different agencies, and there's nobody to deal with it like they did with auto. I think it's time to change that, don't you? I think it's time for somebody to be in charge, somebody to take responsibility for it, and say, we're going to do something about the uninsured in this state. 7 million people. You know, I feel blessed that I have insurance. Having my children and my family be able to go to the doctor it's a basic kind of thing. In California, for many people, they have to allow themselves to get so sick they have to go into emergency care. They go into a point where it really is an emergency. You're going to make a child have to go through that. You're going to make our seniors have to go through that, the most vulnerable in our society. You're going to push them down and not allow them to have health care until it is an emergency? That's not right. And with the right insurance commissioner, we're going to work on that. We're going to change that for California. That's not tolerable. That is not acceptable. You know, my mother, she's a tough lady. She always has these sayings. In Spanish, she says, un beso, y un beso. Means, un rezo means a prayer. Because she is one praying woman. My dad says, son, you have a face for radio. And the only reason that you've ever been successful is because your mother is down on her knees every single day praying for you. And if you ask my mother, she'll say, that's right. But the idea of the prayer was something in which she believes that you're doing something right. And she believes that through prayer, you can make sure have the pure soul and try to go out and do the right thing. And that's what she means by un rezo, or a prayer. Un beso literally means a kiss. But what she means by that is embracing what we do with passion. A kiss, an embrace, passion. Because the things that we're working on, the things that we want to do, need that kind of passion. If you're going to get out the vote, you need some passion. And you're not just going to phone somebody up and say, hey, have you voted? We'd like for you to vote. Hi, Mrs. Smith. Have you thought about voting? Is Mr. Smith in? You're on the phone or you're knocking on the door. If you're on the phone, you gotta stick your hand, you gotta stick yourself right in through that phone line. You go in there, you grab them, you bring it back out, look at them and say, we need you to vote. There are 9 million people in this state who are not registered to vote. You know how many of those are potentially Democrats and where they come from and how they would vote? We're going to test this election on the idea that are people more important in politics or is money more important in politics? The one time where the voice of the most poor is the same and equal as the person who is the richest is in the vote. Every person vote, as long as they're all counted. As long as they get their absentee ballot. It's the one time. And we need to get them out to vote. So you need to go in there and you just need to yank them out. You need to give them a personal story. I mean, they're going to give you something to say. They'll give you some stuff. But that's not what's going to connect. We all have a story. We all have something we can communicate, to connect with. If you're a member of a union, you can talk about how you were able to get benefits and you were able to get better wages, and about how it's helped you and your family. If you're a retiree and you had an onslaught from last year, you're a firefighter, you're a teacher, you can talk about what took place just last year and how quickly things can change. You can give them a story about you, something that comes inside you, because it's that one thing that makes you real. And if you do that to somebody, you will connect with them. I don't care if you are on the phone. I don't care if you're a stranger to them, you're knocking on the door for the very first time. You give them a piece of you, and they'll respond. And the last thing she said was, peso, which literally translated means $1. But that's not what she means by that. She means resources. And there is no greater resource in the Democratic Party than the people and the folks who are going to walk and talk and knock. Now I just need to know, are you going to be doing that? How many? I want to see some hands. Now the other people who put their hands up, did they sign that form? Did you guys sign this thing? Huh? All right. Because that's our resource. That's what's going to get those folks out of the... I mean, my opponent is spending $17 million to buy this position. $17 million. He sits down at the kitchen table and writes a check to himself. Says, we need another couple of $1 million. He has written the money because he's a billionaire. Remember how I said earlier, we're going to test the theory? If people are more important in politics than money? It's going to happen in this race. It's going to happen in all the races this year. Are we going to go to a place in California where the only people who can run statewide are millionaires and billionaires? Is that the place we're going to? Well, if it's not, we need to send a message. We need to send a strong message that we don't want some wannabe Silicon Valley guy that's a business guy that's going to write a check and buy an election. We don't want that guy. We want a pro-consumer Democrat at the helm as insurance commissioner, because we want to make sure someone is going to protect us against those insurance companies. So, I want you to stand up or sit down, but I want you all to hold hands. Because I just came back from Loveland. And I feel a spirit among us. And I want people to say, I believe in Democrats, the right party, at the right time, to do the right thing. And I believe in our leaders, the right candidates, at the right time, to do the right thing. I will not fail my fellow worker, my community, my state, my children, our future. We will succeed